Matthew. I'm calling this podcast a manger. It'd be better to call it a birth because there is no manger in Matthew. It's a different kettle of fish altogether, different agenda, different starting point, and a very different Christmas story, but only some of the familiar elements. The Jesus who emerges from Matthew's gospel is quite different from that of Mark. When we compare with the familiar story, we get an annunciation, but it's to Joseph, not to Mary, and it's in a dream, not an angel. We get Bethlehem, but interestingly, Joseph and Mary live in Bethlehem. They're not there because of a census. There's a birth, but it's just a bald statement and they move quickly past it. We get a star and wise men, but they're not kings, and there's no mention of how many of them there are, and they don't have names. There's no shepherds, no angels, no inn, no stable, no manger. But there is a flight into Egypt. There's the slaughter of the innocents, which is not very Christmassy, I grant you. And then the move back from Egypt into Nazareth. The whole thing is prefaced by a whole lot of begots, beginning with Abraham, who begot Isaac, who begot, etc., 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 all the way down to Joseph, which is a bit odd, as Matthew is at pains to point out that Jesus has no natural father, and Joseph is not his father, and there is no other man either. What is going on? What is going on? What is Matthew trying to say? It's actually quite a complex construct, which takes the story of Jesus that Matthew is familiar with and weaves it into a complex narrative that by the end of the chapter has already established that this Messiah is the epitome of everything the Old Testament was promising and much more. Matthew has 5 movements in his infancy story with multiple Old Testament allusions, and in 4 of the 5 instances backs them up with actual quotations. The number 5 is important because it immediately connects with the core books of the Old Testament and is building up the connection that Jesus has with the Old Testament prophecies. You have the Annunciation. And remember, it's an annunciation to Joseph, is paired with Isaiah 7. A virgin will give birth to a child, and you will call him Emmanuel. You have the Magi, who visit after the birth in Bethlehem, which is paired with Micah, chapter 5. The story is to stress that this is linking with a prophecy that all peoples will come to Jerusalem to worship the Jewish Messiah. You have the flight into Egypt, which is paired with Hosea. And this allows Jesus to mirror Moses, the Savior who came out of Egypt, bringing the new Israel into a new and more profound salvation. You have the slaughter of the innocent, which is paired with Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 15. Salvation is not without tears. And you have the settling of Nazareth. Matthew does not seem to know that Jesus was from Nazareth, but is aware that Jesus lived there and goes to some trouble having them leave Bethlehem to go to Egypt and come back and go to Nazareth. But he is fulfilling a prophecy, which he doesn't actually tell us which one. Matthew's story shows that a Jesus who is fulfilling the Old Testament, but breaking out of the narrow understanding of the Messiah as being only for Israel. The begots, the genealogy, which conventionally describes the Abrahamic David line that Jesus has, radically introduces foreign women into the line of Jesus. Also, the compact, spare narratives infancy story gets us to a point where we understand clearly that this child, born of a virgin, fulfilling all the prophecies of the Old Testament, is a new Moses coming out of Egypt to be a Messiah, not only for the people of Israel, but more than that, for all the people of the world. If I can use a simile, it's as if those who were expecting an enhanced caterpillar to come from the cocoon of the Old Testament are being primed to expect not a caterpillar, but instead to expect a butterfly.